She had nothing left, but the cowboy offered her his daughter's heart. The desert wind carried memories like ghosts across the barren landscape. Eliza Brennan stood at the edge of the canyon, watching steam rise from the geothermal vents below, and wondered if a person could simply dissolve into mist, the way water did, disappearing into nothing, leaving no trace behind. She had come west with dreams sewn into the lining of her traveling bag. Now that bag was gone, along with everything else. The stagecoach robbery 3 days ago had taken more than her possessions. It had taken the last of her hope. The sun hung low on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Eliza pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders. Though the evening was warm, the gesture was habit more than necessity, a way of holding herself together when everything inside felt scattered like seeds in a storm. "You shouldn't stand so close to the edge," a voice called from behind her. Eliza turned to find a woman watching her, identical to her own reflection in every way except for the confidence in her posture. This other Eliza sat gracefully on a sun-bleached rock, her patterned dress somehow pristine despite the dusty landscape. She gestured toward the distant horizon with an elegance Eliza had forgotten she once possessed. But when Eliza blinked, the woman was gone. The rock was empty. She was alone again, the way she'd been since losing her sister to fever 2 winters ago. Sometimes grief played tricks like that, showing you the person you used to be, the person you might have been if loss hadn't hollowed you out. The sound of hoofbeats made her turn. A rider approached on a paint horse, silhouetted against the dying light. As he drew closer, Eliza could make out a weathered face beneath a wide-brimmed hat, dark hair curling past his shoulders, and an ornate jacket that seemed to fine for ranch work. He dismounted with the fluid grace of someone who'd spent more time in the saddle than on solid ground. His eyes found hers, dark and thoughtful, holding a question he didn't voice. "Evening, ma'am," he said, his voice low and careful. "I'm Garrett Thornhill. I run cattle on the land north of here. You look lost." "I am," Eliza admitted. There seemed little point in pretending otherwise. "I was traveling to Santa Fe to meet my cousin. The stage was robbed outside of Gallup. They took everything." Garrett nodded slowly, as if unsettled news like this was expected in this hard country. "That's a difficult thing. You have anywhere to go?" Eliza shook her head. The truth was, even her cousin in Santa Fe had been a desperate grasp at connection, a woman she'd met only once, years ago, who'd written occasionally out of distant family obligation. Without money or possessions, Eliza couldn't impose on such fragile hospitality. "There's a town about 15 miles south," Garrett said, "but nothing closer. I have a ranch house, an hour's ride from here. My daughters and we could offer you a meal and a place to rest. Figure out what comes next in the morning." The offer hung in the air between them. Elisa studied his face, looking for the angles of deception or ulterior motive she'd learned to recognize in men. But Garrett's expression held only a weary kindness, the look of someone who understood what it meant to be a "Your daughters?" she asked. "Rose is 10. Lily just turned 7. They're good girls. But," he paused, choosing his words with visible care, "they lost their mother last spring. Ranch life is lonely for children. For all of us, I suppose." Something in his voice, the quiet ache of it, made Eliza's decision for her. She nodded. The ride to Garrett's ranch passed in companionable silence. Eliza rode behind him on the paint horse, watching the landscape shift from rocky desert to rolling grassland. By the time they reached the ranch house, full darkness had fallen, and warm light glowed from the windows like a promise of sanctuary. 2 small faces appeared in the doorway as they approached. The girls had their father's dark hair and something of his solemn expression, though their eyes held a brightness that loss hadn't yet dimmed. "Papa," the younger one called, running out to meet them. "You're late. We were worried." "I brought a guest, Lilybell," Garrett said, helping Eliza dismount. "This is Miss Brennan. She's had some trouble on the road and needs our hospitality." The older girl, Rose, studied Eliza with an intensity that reminded her of herself at that age, already learning to measure the world's reliability, to calculate risk before offering trust. But after a long moment, Rose stepped forward and held out her hand. "You're welcome here," she said, formal and a little stiff, clearly repeating words she'd been taught about hosting visitors. Inside, the house was simple but cared for. Someone had made an effort, wildflowers in a jar on the table, colorful woven blankets draped over chairs, drawings pinned to the walls. The girls' work, Eliza guessed, a way of filling the spaces their mother had left empty. Over a dinner of stew and fresh bread, Eliza learned their rhythms. Rose was quiet and watchful, helping serve the meal with practiced efficiency. Lily chatted about everything the calf born last week, the hawk's nest in the cottonwood tree, the story her teacher had read in school about a princess who could talk to horses. Do you think that's real? Lily asked Elisa suddenly. That some people can talk to animals. Eliza considered the question seriously. I think some people are better at listening than others. Maybe that's close to the same thing. Lily beamed, satisfied with this answer. After dinner, as Garrett saw to the horses and Lily chased lightning bugs in the yard, Rose approached Eliza where she sat on the porch. You look sad, Rose said bluntly. Not just tired sad. The other kind. Eliza felt tears prick her eyes at the girl's perception. I lost someone too, she said quietly. My sister. We were very close. Rose nodded, settling beside her on the step. Papa says grief is like a stone you carry. It doesn't get lighter, but you get stronger at carrying it. They sat together in silence, watching Lily's small figure dance through the twilight. After a while, Rose leaned against Eliza's shoulder, gesture of tentative trust that made Eliza's breath catch. You could stay, Rose said softly. If you wanted. Papa won't say it because he's shy about asking for help. But we could use someone, and maybe you could use us too. The simple honesty of it broke something open in Eliza's chest. She thought of the empty road behind her, the uncertain path ahead, and these two girls who somehow saw past her loss to the person she still might be. I'd like that, Eliza whispered. Very much. When Garrett returned to the porch, he found all three of them watching the stars emerge. Rose still leaned against Eliza. Lily now curled in her lap, all of them quiet and settled in a way that spoke of pieces fitting together. He didn't ask what had been discussed. He simply sat down on Eliza's other side and said, There's always work on a ranch for someone willing. If you're looking to stay a while, I am, Eliza said. The desert wind still carried ghosts across the landscape, but in that moment, sitting on the porch of a ranch house she'd never seen before that day, surrounded by a family that had found her when she'd had nothing left, Eliza felt something she hadn't felt in months. She felt like she'd come home,